Morning, everybody. Nice to see so many of you here. Thanks for braving the elements and coming to our event on skills, people management and productivity across Yorkshire, the Humber and North East. Very welcome. Very nice to see you. My name's Jason Hayes. I'm the academic lead for the Yorkshire, Humber and North East Productivity Forum. I'll say a little bit more about what that is in a moment. The event's been organised by the Forum, which is part of the Productivity Institute, which is a national initiative, which I'll also say a little bit more about in a moment. But this event is part of the Productivity Institute's, or TPI as we call it, TPI's National Productivity Week, which is a week of events designed to raise awareness of the importance of productivity and to enable different stakeholders to engage in discussions regionally, because we are regionally based as well as national, to engage in regional discussions around productivity and how it affects actors within our regions, Yorkshire, Humber, North East, obviously, in our case. It is an annual event, but with a new government with economic growth firmly at the heart of its agenda, it's obviously a great time to be talking about productivity. And our theme around skills, people management and productivity is also pretty timely, really, given that we've got a new government with an employment rights bill, which, when introduced, when it becomes law, will usher in a whole new set of employment rights, which will raise implications for how people are managed at work, employment relations, the quality of employment relations. So it's a good time to be talking about those issues as well. I won't speak for very long. I'm going to just say a little bit more about TPI and also introduce our insights paper, which has been launched this week. We've got Alex over here, who's illustrating the event for us. He's promised there's going to be no grotesque caricatures or anything of that nature. So Alex is over there, and we'll see the cartoon unfold, reflecting the content of our discussions. We're also filming the event, and there will be photos as well. Laura at the back there is taking photos. If anybody would prefer not to be filmed or to have their photo taken, if you could please let Sam know. Sam's at the back there in pink, and then we will obviously respect that. Okay, so what is the Productivity Institute? Productivity Institute is a UK-wide research organisation which explores what productivity means for business, workers and communities. It's funded by the Economic and Social Research Council, which is the major social science funding body for the UK. It's a massive investment by the ESRC. It's based at the University of Manchester, but it does have a presence in all regions and also in the devolved nations. And it's quite an ambitious program of work. It finishes in 2026. Its ambitions are to set the agenda around productivity and develop national capacity in relation to productivity research and also actions, because it's very much focused also on outcomes. It's not just a talking shop. It's not just about research. It is also about hopefully delivering some impact. It wants to develop the productivity narrative so that it becomes something that we talk about not just in academia or in policy circles, but something that is talked about beyond those confines, something that's more widespread. Wants to work with firms to identify obstacles to productivity at the individual firm and institutional levels and formulate private and public policy actions. Again, delivering impact is very much at the heart of the agenda, and therefore working with stakeholders, working with policymakers, working with businesses, unions, other stakeholders is absolutely vital. It's organised around 8 research themes. I don't have time to go into those in detail, but there they are on the board. Those are the themes that provide orientation to the TPI's research agenda, each of which obviously is very relevant for productivity. As I say, it's not just based at Manchester. There are also TPI outposts, if you like, regional fora in different parts of the UK, including the devolved nations. University of Sheffield is the lead for our particular part of the world, for Yorkshire, Humber and the North East. And the Productivity Forum, which is based at the University of Sheffield, comprises stakeholders from across North East Yorkshire and Humber, drawn from business communities, policy communities, academics, FE, colleges, and others. All types of stakeholders that have an interest in the productivity agenda. So it's the forum that's organised this event, and the forum works towards the development and implementation of research insights, but also design of practical interventions. Again, we try to make our work practically focused. It's not just about research for the sake of doing research. However, we do have some research, and I don't have time to talk about this in any detail at all, but all of the fora, the regional fora for the TPI, have this week launched insights papers, each of which is looking at different dimensions of productivity as it relates to their particular patch. That's the link to our report, Productivity Training and Skills in Yorkshire, the Humber and North East, which is freely available to download. If you don't have time to write down the link, don't worry. If you just Google the Productivity Institute, you will find the links to the reports there. So it's focused on skills. It's mainly focused on an analysis of official data relating to productivity, skills and training, and its content was also informed by roundtable discussions with representatives from the business and policy communities in the regions. I'm just going to very, very quickly walk through some key insights from the paper, just as a bit of framing. The UK, as we know, and this is partly why the TPI exists, the UK has a persistent productivity problem. Productivity growth in the UK is, to say the very least, sluggish, and different regions experience different levels of productivity growth, productivity performance. The southeast is perhaps the most dynamic. It is the most dynamic. That's where the growth is most intense. Other parts of the country fare less well by comparison. And Yorkshire, the Humber, has below UK average productivity and productivity growth, ranking 7th of the 12 main UK regional areas in 2022. So we're not a strong performer. The North East performs slightly less well than Yorkshire and Humber in terms of overall productivity, although over the last 10 years or so, it has experienced slightly better growth. So we refer to it as catching up. So productivity levels are below those of Yorkshire and Humber, but actually the North East is growing faster than Yorkshire and Humber. So it's catching up in that sense. And even within the regions, you see very different levels of productivity. In Yorkshire and Humber, East Yorkshire and North Lincolnshire have productivity levels which are on par with the UK average, whereas South Yorkshire has experienced the lowest productivity levels in the region and one of the very lowest levels within the UK. So where we are geographically as we hold this event, this is really pertinent for us. With relation to skills, we've seen a steady increase in the percentage of individuals holding higher level skills, National Vocational Qualification Level 4 or above. That's risen from 24% to 35% over the period, and I'm talking here about Yorkshire, Humber and the North East together. And conversely, the number of people, or the percentage of people who have either an NVQ Level 1 as their highest level qualification or have no qualifications at all, has declined, which is positive, obviously. However, compared to the national average, both regions exhibit lower attainment levels in relation to higher level qualifications when compared to the UK. So we're doing better, but we're not doing as well as we should be, arguably, and not as well as other parts of the UK. There are also skills mismatch issues, the relationship between skills supply and demand, whether people have appropriate qualifications for the jobs that they have. There are issues there that we've investigated. So we found that in the North East, just over half of employed individuals have qualifications that align with their job roles, while 22%, just over, are overqualified. And that's the largest proportion among regions within England and Wales. And 26%, just over a quarter, are underqualified for the roles that they have. That's the North East. The equivalent figures for Yorkshire and Humber are 50%, roughly 21%, and about 29%. And the percentage of employers reporting a skills gap within the workforce has increased over time as well. Just finally, brief insights on training. We aren't improving. Basically, if you look at the percentage of people in employment who've undertaken training over a 13-week period prior to being asked, and you ask that question in 2009, and ask that question in 2023, the percentages are about the same. It's around 18 to 19%, both for Yorkshire and Humber and the North East. There's been some fluctuation over time, but it's not really got beyond that level. It's gone below that percentage, but the percentage in 2023 was more or less exactly the same as in 2009. So we're not training more. We're not investing more in training. And as is common, participation rates in training are highest among those individuals who already possess higher level qualifications. So if you're already quite well qualified or skilled, you're more likely to get training than if you have low level qualifications or are unskilled, if you like. Okay, so those who need it most, if you like, are less likely to receive training. And both regions have experienced declines in apprenticeship starts and achievements between 2018 and 2023, with the North East experiencing a sharp decline. So that's all I want to say about the paper. There's lots more in the paper, lots more detail, and I hope you find it an interesting read. About today's event then. So we have a number of aims for this event. A really important aim is to provide everybody with an opportunity to get together, to network, to speak to each other. This isn't just about hearing from presenters, it is an opportunity for people to interact with each other, and I hope there's lots of opportunities to do that. We want to raise awareness of the importance of productivity and the contribution that good HRM and employment relations practices can make to productivity. Our report is mainly about skills, and if you know about the productivity debate, you'll know that skills and training is often mentioned when commentators talk about poor productivity or good productivity. Skills and training is known to be essential to productivity and productivity growth. What's less often spoken about is the contribution that the HR function, but HR policies and practices, and the quality of employment relations might make to productivity as well. We do talk about management often, and the quality of British management or UK management, but we don't often talk about the specifics around HR management and employment relations. So today is an opportunity to do that. We're going to hear from some organisations within the region about how innovative practices in that regard has helped to enhance their performance, and also discuss changing skills needs and what employers, policymakers and others might do to support skills development, increase training activity and promote good work. And that reference to good work is a really good way of segueing into introducing our key speaker, who is Peter Cheese, Chief Executive of the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, I should say. Just before I introduce Peter properly, just to run through the agenda, it is on your desk, but we will be hearing from Katrina Ritchie at 10:50, who's the Group People and Culture Director from Gripple. We'll then have a break and hear from Claire Watson, who's Head of HR Operations UK at Arla. And following that, we'll have an industry and policy expert panel discussion session. We've got a great range of speakers, some of whom have HR expertise, some of whom come from a policy background. And that will be a great opportunity again to talk around these issues around productivity, people management, and skills. And then we'll have a networking lunch, which I hope you can stay for at the end.